how is it that Lil was getting text messages, it looked like, from Portugal?
Well, I'm clearly in Totnes.
Yes. But one of you is not.
One of us. One of these kids is not like the other one.
Oh, I used to love that.
One of these kids is doing her own thing. Yeah. So she's off on a 2-week research break.
Right.
She's got a series of projects in varying states of development.
I did think you were going to say disrepair.
She is like the most prolific person I know. I keep looking at her CV because I steal her CV to update mine. But I realised that for everything that for every one thing.
How many husbands get to say that of their wives?
But for every one thing that I can put onto my CV, there's another 5 things that she's like completely done by herself, and I'm like, damn it.
So both useful and also what's the word? Confronting.
This is a podcast in which 2 friends have serious conversations about silly things and silly conversations about serious things.
I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller.
Welcome to Midlifing. So you're leeching. You're an academic leech. I mean, I guess aren't we all? That's what it is. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, absolutely that. Yeah.
Do you think they're like 4 original thinkers?
Yeah, I think I'm married to one of them.
Really?
Yeah, she's great. I love her. She's just
You're
clever.
quite biased. It's quite a bias. I'm not disagreeing, but it's quite a biased opinion.
Yeah, but if anybody disagrees with me, they're just complete tools. Fuck them and the horse they rode in on. So she's off in Portugal for a couple of weeks, enjoying the peace and quiet. And from what I can tell, eating very good food, high in saturated fat, because she's not had any since.
What was the donut-looking thing that was made out of something else?
That's a sueños.
And it's a dream of some kind.
It's just a dream. So they are very popular around Christmas time, and it's
how many? Does she know how many days to Christmas it is?
She doesn't care.
I guess if Strictly Come Dancing started, it's nearly Christmas.
Nearly Christmas, yeah. They're made with butternut squash as part of the dough.
That's right.
And the butternut squash is, if they're doing it in the traditional way, the butternut squash is baked in the oven, and then the seeds are taken out and the skin is taken out, and then the flesh is whipped with a whisk for a really long time, because...
So just air. And are they deep fried?
Yeah, and then rolled in sugar.
Yeah. We went for a very long walk. We continued our walk along the from the source of the Thames. Lil had made some snacks, and they were muffins made with sweet potato, and so they were sweet. And oh my goodness, they were yum. But she hadn't whipped the sweet potato after she'd cooked it. She hadn't whipped it for hours, which is I'm going to give that little bit of speed back to her.
Shall we go to the text message that we've had since?
So how are you, Simon? Shall we go to the text message? Just imagining. Have we had a text message? I didn't want to look at my phone.
We have. Now, this is coming from somebody who you may have met, but I'm not sure if you remember her, because you probably only encountered her in a session you did for 3rd years about how to make a website.
I did a session for 3rd years about how...
Yeah, you did several. You actually ran... I think you might have even run a whole module with Tim about website and documentation stuff. You won't remember that,
I think I did. I don't think it was about how to make a website.
I just remember it as being how to make a website. But this is a student. She's not anymore. She's a fully grown adult with children and partners and all of that sort of stuff. And she did her undergraduate at Northampton, and then she did a master's at Dartington College of Arts. I think she might have been in one of the final years of Dartington College of Arts. So she was in those kind of halcyon days of being able to do whatever you want, wherever you wanted, and having entire studios given over to yourself. Because the master's students, I saw some amazing work coming out of that MA.
Dartington.
Yeah, I remember there was this one woman, body-based performance artist. I cannot remember her name for the life of me, but I saw her do this piece that had a kind of a big constructed bird headdress. So it was like she had the head of a bird and she was completely naked except for this bird head. And she was in a big bath of milk in this very dimly lit barn space. It was very, very interesting and curious.
And she had a bird head.
Yeah, she'd made this bird head out of feathers, and it was really, oh my God, it was really good. And then I encountered her again in the weirdest place. So a while ago, this would be, oh God, getting on for over 10 years ago, Marina Abramovich, the performance artist, had a brief dalliance with Plymouth. She did an event at the Royal William Yard, and it was called The Pigs of Today Are the Hams of Tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And she was asking questions about legacy and all of those sorts of things. And we brought in Dirching Shea was there. It was a big.
No, it was happening. It was a happening place.
It was a big deal. It was pretty exciting.
And was that because you were friends with Marina?
I got to know Marina through this. I wasn't friends with Marina in advance.
Right.
So this lord who has a place just outside of Plymouth had this big estate, and his wife was a Brazilian swimwear model, and she was big into collecting art. So
the story is hilarious.
So she hosted a dinner party for Marina at her estate.
Can I just want to interrupt?
Go
because ahead. If there are going to be some listeners who have no idea who Marina Abramovich is, so she's like the Cristiano Ronaldo of the performance art world, isn't she? Except she's been around much, much longer.
She refers to herself as the grandmother of performance art.
There you go. So she describes it as if she created it.
Yeah. Which, you can make an argument that she was a big part of the creation myths of the particular type of performance art. But, she's probably up there with Yoko Ono. A lot of her stuff has been hugely influential to people. Well, like Lady Gaga went to, I think was it the Met Gala or something like that in a meat dress? So that was when she was like deeply in kind of intellectual dialogue with the work of Marina Abramovich, although never acknowledging or referencing it, because that's how popular culture works.
God bless it. Mm. So Marina Abramovich hosted this Brazilian
former swimwear model,
who's married to a lord,
and she was an avid art collector.
All right.
So we went into their drawing room, and there were Miros and Ragos and all sorts of stuff on the wall.
So what you're saying is you got to go there.
Yeah, so I got invited as part of the party to go to this.
What did you wear?
Oh, I can't remember.
What were you wearing that night?
I don't know. I was probably wearing something Alexander McQueen or Vivienne Westwood.
I've heard of Vivienne Westwood. And so we're talking 2000.
This would have been 2000. No, this was 2009 or 10. It would have been.
You were touching fame. You were fondling fame.
This is probably the closest brush I had to fame, and also that kind of world.
You were on the verges of being an influencer.
No, I was so far. I was so far from it. But it was. No, I was witnessing.
Imagine how big this podcast would be if you just followed through that evening.
But so we're in this drawing room. This is such a long story, and I am going to have to cut it out.
This story.
I'm just telling it for you then, maybe for no one else. So what happened is that we had drinks and conversations, and then these massive oak double doors that are pulled back into this dimly lit dining room. And in the middle of this 30-seater dining table is this performance artist that I'd seen in a barn in her bird costume sitting in a bath of milk.
Was she the only one, or were there many?
The only one. She was just there, just enacting these small series of tasks, and then we were all shepherded in to have our dinner, and it was venison which the lord of the manor had shot yesterday. It was just walking across the grass, so I just took out my 12 bore and I got it there and then. And yeah, so we were, which made me immediately go, oh, it's not been hung very long if it was only shot yesterday, but who am I to judge? Only the son of a butcher. But it was...
How would you normally hang venison for a long time?
It would depend on the age of
Is it like it's about relaxing the meat or something?
Yeah, I would definitely hang it for more than a day, but that's just me.
And you didn't express your disappointment about either the shortness of the hanging and the quality of the meat?
I did none of those things because actually it was evidently a relatively young buck because it was quite tender, as my memory tells me. But more bizarre was just this strange collection of people around the table eating freshly killed venison while this half-naked bird-headed woman enacts a series of actions in a bath, which is a very long-winded way of saying, and Priya is part of that. I don't think she's that kind of in that kind of world anymore, but that's
Who, Priya or
Priya. There was the last time I really had much to do with Priya. We've since then become Instagram friends. And she has sent us a text message. She has sent us a question, and she has sent us a task, which I really like. I like both of these, so I'm going to read them. Or do you want to read them? You should read them.
Okay, I'll read them.
Okay.
So this is from Priya. Priya X. I love the X. So 1, what conspiracy theory do you not like to admit to believing in, but kinda do think has a point? That's chemtrails. Chemtrails.
I think
5G.
she might have just scratched the head off a very distressing scab.
Number 2, buy each other a gift to exchange in next week's episode. Can't be something you already own. Oh, do you know re-gifting?
It's like she knows us really well.
How will she know? How will you know?
I won't.
Must be wrapped beautifully. Oh, God. No spending limit.
Oh.
What? But obviously don't get yourself into debt over it. Smiley. Oh, what is that?
That's a really smiley emoticon.
It's like big toothy smiley grin.
but not one of the anxious smiley grins. It's just a general... It looks like it's a bit of a like, ha, gotcha smiley grin.
Yes. So, what conspiracy theory? Number 1, what conspiracy theory do you not like to admit to believing in, but kinda do think has a point? And then buy each other a gift. Wrap it nicely for next week's episode.
I love that because we'll have to unwrap each other's gifts remotely and film ourselves doing it. I love that because I've not got the wherewithal to buy something, wrap it, and send it.
Priya, dear Priya, what do you get for the man who has everything?
More of the same.
I'm going to get you I know.
Well, don't tell me.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, because that entirely defeats the object of wrapping it beautifully if I know what you've wrapped.
Okay.
Conspiracy theories.
So the thing about... I'm going to start. Mm-hmm. Is that all right if I start? Because you've just rabbited on about Marina someone Abramovich, which you're probably going to have to cut out anyway.
Oh, fuck yes.
Although I did love that story. I like the number of brackets that were opened in that story in order just to say who Priya is. Yeah. But so Priya became this person adjacent to an entire story about Marina Abramovich and another woman in Milk whose name you can't remember.
Yeah.
Who used to study with Priya.
Yeah. And now I'm not even sure if, now that I'm thinking about it,
they might not have been in the same year.
Yeah, exactly that. They might not have been in the same year. And was it a bird head or was it a fox head? It was definitely an animal head.
Yeah.
So you're going to start. Do it.
So the thing about... Well, I think I have something to say about this, which is not about particular conspiracy theories, but it's just that it's what humans do. That I don't think the things that I hold as being important to me, and let's say have faith in or believe in, are necessarily so different from, aforementioned list. 5G, chemtrails. What are some other rippers? Oh, yes, you know that one. QAnon.
Oh.
And so I think I feel I think I feel a certain amount of understanding, but that's not what her question is.
No, she's asking you to lift up your skirt and show your knickers, isn't she?
She is. She is indeed. You know, the thing that's tricky about this question for me is that I have such a strong reaction to groupthink.
Right.
So it doesn't matter where the groupthink lies on, let's say, on a political spectrum or on the spectrum of total wackiness to not so wacky. I have a really strong reaction to want to say, really? That's how you're all thinking now? And the exception for me is I have faith in the scientific method. I think for particular areas, it's a strikingly phenomenal way of getting to understand how things are and why things are, and also extraordinarily responsible for, let's say, I don't know, our longevity these days. So, you know, and I'm not sure that I'm calling science a conspiracy theory, but that's where the line ends. I don't think of it as groupthink.
Okay. So
you see what I'm saying?
I think I do. Yeah, that idea that that science for you sits outside of, but you can see that there's a potential for it to be sort of bumping up against that idea of, well, we just have to believe in a particular
exactly.
sort
So
of
when
way.
someone says, "I believe in science," I think, what a load of shit. There's nothing to believe. It just is.
Yeah, except of
Right?
course it isn't.
Yes,
Because
that's
what I heard you say was that you believe in the scientific method, which is a bit different, I think, than I believe in science.
yes. Although I think the nuance would be lost. The nuance is generally lost.
I was just thinking that the scientific method is slightly different from science because science becomes a monolith, doesn't it? Like any
Yes.
monolith, like any monolithic idea or ideal.
Yes, and it's treated that way by institutions, and
Yeah.
no doubt about it.
And it becomes inviolable, that you can't challenge it, you can't ask questions about it.
Well, that's the thing, because of course
It's doing it
that's
all the
built
time.
into
Exactly.
Well,
No.
it's built into the method.
Yeah,
is
that's-
that kind of those kinds of challenges.
But I think that's the distinction for me between the scientific method and science, because I don't think it's scientists who hold it up as inviolable. I think it's people who are using science as a blunt
political
instrument.
means, or
Exactly, yeah. So at the moment where we've just lost, I mean, everybody take off their hat and observe a moment's silence for the passing of Gavin Williamson from his role as Minister for Education. You know, we're in a climate right now that positions arts education and arts more broadly as frivolous and ridiculous and pointless and all of those other words, and it uses science or what is, you know, shorthanded to STEM subjects as a stick.
just science,
to beat.
technology. What is it? Something in medicine, or is it just
Engineering?
engineering, medicine?
Medicine, yeah. So it's a stick to beat the art subject, because obviously art subjects lack rigor and they are subjective and they are unverifiable and all of those things, and they don't.
But
contribute.
is that what it's?
Is that why they're being beaten?
Yeah, like
No, I don't think so. I think the reason they're being beaten is that they actually encourage a kind of discourse that's challenging and complex and problematic and causes issues for people. And I also think absolutely central to keep science honest.
Yes.
So just to go back to what you were saying, you know, that the idea of the scientific method is something that you hold to a high standard, but the group.
Yes, but I don't see it as something to believe in.
No,
Yeah.
because you understand it, because you effectively started out in a more scientific context than you did in an
Yeah, I'm
artistic
steeped in it, really. Yeah, no question.
And as somebody who's steeped in it, you understand that science knows its own limits and knows that it gets things wrong and knows that this is about experimentation and, this.
Yeah, an iteration, and so that's and we've had no better example of its limits and power throughout this pandemic. No question, extraordinary limits when people are going, well, do we wear masks or not wear masks?
Yeah.
Are we supposed to be inside or not? And of course that was science doing what it does, which is figuring stuff out and seeing data that are contradictory and figuring out in time and not in a straight line. It's not linear. And of course, we want certainty. Mm-hmm. And I do think that's the beauty of it, is that it doesn't produce certainty, which of course is the paradox, because it's used to wield as a kind of form of certainty, you might say.
Yeah.
So what that means, though, I guess, in terms of, this is awkward. Why is it awkward?
I don't know. Why is it awkward, Simon?
Why is it awkward? Because I think what you're saying is that people confuse science for ideology. Mm-hmm. And it is, but it's the method thing. And I think the distinction is an important one. And so I guess I'm going to come across as an ideologue in relation to, and so I'm feeling, is that I want to come across in relation to the scientific method? But I guess what I was going to say, or thinking of trying to say, or giving some thought to the possibility that I might say it, now I can't remember, is just something about what it means is that when I happen across conspiracy theories, my instant response is to go, how does that really function? Because it's about wanting to believe in something. And so I think there's something about hope and certainty and belief, but I don't know. I'm no conspiracy theory expert, and here we are. The short answer to Priya's question is, I'm not sure I do have any conspiracy theories that I kind of believe in, would you say? Or that I think has a point or have a point.
I think I might be the opposite to you.
It's an excellent beginning for a conversation, isn't it?
Only in that I think I believe in nothing. All conspiracy theories seem plausible for a brief moment, but then I also can't find myself believing in that either. So I sort of just like bounce along going, yeah, those lizards. I wonder if the pizza that they make is good. Nah, lizards couldn't make a pizza. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So I can be convinced in a moment, but then it falls apart too quickly for me, because it's just like, the logic of it doesn't hold, and I don't think I can suspend my disbelief willingly long enough.
So what you're saying then is that, or what we are saying is that, given Priya's question, neither of us can answer the question, because you, on the one hand, believe in everything fleetingly, and I only believe in science.
Yeah, I think that is pretty much what we're saying there.
Do you think which of us is more likely?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Because when I asked, I thought, definitely you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. On what basis?
Well, I think it's probably on the basis that I'm like a cork in the ocean. I just get pushed around, but I don't stick to anything, and I think that's a real problem for me.
Is it really?
I think it's almost pathological, my inability to commit to something, which is hilarious given that I've been married to the same person for a really long time.
Has that required commitment?
No. I don't think so. It's just been easy. It's I find there'll be going to be listeners just gagging. Listeners with marital problems are just going, fuck you and your fucking easy marriage. Which is anyway. So you were talking about. I thought that was quite interesting. That little link between commitment and then the comparison was that you're not. That you're just I'm not committed to very much.
What is it? What's that? A something fly? What do you call that?
Gadfly.
A gadfly, is that, like just flipping around everywhere?
Yeah, I would find...
and you said that as a problem. You saw that as a problem.
I think it's a problem in the sense that It's not true, obviously. There's certain things that I've stuck to. I've kept yoga in my life a long time. I don't get rid of dogs when they are no longer amusing. So there's lots of things that I am committed to. But I'm also...
I'm going to say this podcast seems to be. It wouldn't surprise me, I guess, if 1 week you go, had enough.
I'm done. Yeah, but I think the idea of ideas is probably what I mean. In that I don't hold to a particular set of beliefs, or I don't get to a point. So I think that probably makes it difficult for conspiracy theories to hold. So that's what I mean about, like, I'll believe in that for all of 12 seconds, but then go, like aliens, for example. Obviously, aliens exist. It would be. Let me just unpack that. I find it hubris of the highest order to think that ours is the only planet that is capable of sustaining life in the vastness, the infinite vastness of the universe.
Hubris is just not strong enough word, is it?
No. The idea that we are somehow singular in God's creation, and there we go. I don't believe in religion either. That doesn't stick for me. Although it's stick me in a church in the middle of Lisbon, and I'll start to cry and go, "Fuck, this is so powerful. It's amazing. Oh, I want to believe." I look at those kind of deeply visceral statues of Christ on the cross and just go, "Yeah, he died for our sins. This is so moving." And then I'll step outside and go, "Oh, I wonder what's for dinner." It's this fleeting thing where I believe passionately and fervently while I'm in the room, and then forget all about it.
So, can I ask you a question then? Mm-hmm. Why is it that you're a gadfly?
I think it's probably, Simon, I'm just not that deep.
Not that what?
Deep.
Huh?
I'm not that deep. I'm not.
But I don't understand what you mean.
I'm not that complex. I'm not that. I don't know. I think there is probably a shallowness to me.
I see. Oh.
I think there is a shallowness to me. A kind of an interest in surface. And
you think Bob thinks that of you?
I don't know. You'd have to ask her.
Yeah.
I don't. I honestly don't know what Bob thinks of me. I know she likes me, but I don't know what that's made up of, and I think that's probably something I don't want to know.
Really?
Oh, I don't want to know why she likes me, because then I'd start to try and do more of the thing that she liked. Oh. That would be a horrifying thing to know. Why somebody liked you, because
it just makes you self-conscious about that thing.
Yeah. It's like, am I doing enough of X in order to ensure that she continues
I think you're right.
Oh, that'd be grim.
So if there were one thing that you would change about yourself, what would it be?
Oh, nothing. I wouldn't change it. I think the shallow, you see, the thing about shallow and surface just sounds so judgmental, and
pejorative.
I mean it with no sense of judgment against myself. I don't think deeply about things. I feel deeply. I know that.
That's really interesting. I just want to say that I think that's very beautiful what you've just said, which is about I wouldn't change anything. How many people can say that, Lee Miller?
Oh, I wish everybody could say that.
It's an extraordinary thing you've just said.
So does that mean, though, that you would want to change things about yourself?
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, my God. I mean...
See, now, well, I'm actively shocked.
I'm going to just tell you the one that's off the top of my head.
Yeah.
One that comes to mind is how easily I feel slighted or wronged. Oh, same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Uguale. But that hypersensitivity to being wronged. Oh my goodness! I would just, if I could slap that away. 5G. I blame 5G though.
But if you
actually, I think it was the new Coke thing.
But if you remove that sense of sensitivity, that sense of hypersensitivity, what else would be lost? See, that's why for me, when
Yeah,
somebody
you're
says,
spot
what
on.
do you want to change? It's like nothing, because if I change, I mean, apart from the fact we are in a constant process of evolution, you know, day to day we're different, but also day to day we're more the same. I get that, you know. But just the idea of removing a thing that is inconvenient, what would that...
Yes.
So, for example...
Like surgery, like the
Yeah.
surgeon go, I'm going to just slice a little bit off your brain there. It's
Yeah.
not going to cause any other problems. It's going to sort out this particular, you know, and then, what do they call that? What was that great treatment that was...
lobotomy.
yeah, John Kennedy's sister.
Yeah,
Sister.
when they just go in through the eyeball with an ice pick. Or not through the eyeball, through the eye socket, just down the side of the eyeball with an ice pick, and in they go.
Yeah, a little swirl around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just, you know, it'll be fine. It'll make you calmer, or it'll make you,
Yeah.
it'll make you no longer a lesbian. All those other things
That
it's
for a
been used
long time.
until very recently.
So yeah. But yes, I agree that it's because precisely that I'll just say, I'll call it hypersensitivity, also brings with it all sorts of extraordinary things, or well, I'll not say extraordinary things that I really like about myself.
Yeah.
I can't just excise one bit and not have the other.
No. And that even the sensitivity to being slighted means that you are thinking about other people.
I'd say it's probably a little bit thinking about myself a lot.
No, but you have to think about the other person that's done that thing to you. You know, so there's a dialogue that's happening in your head with another person. So in effect, it's the gateway to empathy.
Yeah.
God, that would be so sad to not have that. Simon, don't lose that.
Yeah, no, it's you should be a psychologist. We could start a different podcast, Psychology with Lee.
Lee, utterly untrained, doesn't even really know his own mind.
Doesn't believe in a thing.
Is fully aware he is deeply contradictory to the point of hypocrisy. Please, give him £5.
1-800-733.